Since Josh is here, I can't cuss.
Now it's live.
Oh my God.
All right. Refresh. Here we go. Who talks first?
Well, I'll talk first because I like doing it. But here I just did.
To talk.
Yep. That's true.
I'm pulling it up. I'm gonna do some sharing. So, but everybody,
I'm gonna share first.
I'm so excited to be in the blue collar recruiting thing today.
It's your first time in blue collar recruiting. What kind of blue collar tank top you wearing?
Actually, I'm wearing a Dan Plata special.
Oh, the Buddha.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah. So,
hey everybody, welcome to Blue Collar Recruiting. We've got a good one tonight. I'm Sean Day with Blue Skies. We've got Dan Plata in the house having a beer.
2 beers.
Or so.
Haven't gotten to the second one yet.
He's got 3 hands and 2 beers.
Yeah.
And we got Bobby Walker in Florida.
2 beers in my Yeti here.
In the Yeti. And the man, Josh Taylor's going to talk about sales tonight. Josh was here 2 weeks ago, and I think we had about 1,000 people coming through, taking a look at stuff. And hang on tight tonight because we've got a couple freebies we're going to give away tonight too. I've got something we're going to give away that's a step-by-step blueprint on how to recruit the right way. And we got to start thinking about that like about 3 weeks ago. And so we got the capacity side of that called employees. And then Josh is going to lay it out tonight. He's got like the Mike Gerber from eMyth has nothing on Josh when it comes to the process of sales, man. I'm telling you, I got it this morning, and it's really cool because it's a lot, but it's not, and it's simple, but it's effective. And just to give a little bit of background too, wait a minute, I'm going to get in trouble. Bobby or Dan's going to yell at me here. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, share, and all that good stuff. So Josh is going to go through this, but Josh, how many salespeople did you hire last year when we connected and started doing some business together?
We had none in the beginning of the year. We had 5, I think, by mid-May.
Okay, so 5 in a couple months.
Yeah.
Yep. And then obviously we got some techs out there, and did you get an ops manager or something like that too?
Yep. Yeah. You guys hooked it up, man. We got an ops manager. We hired 5 sales guys, and then we increased the service department. I think we had 2 or 3 guys come back, and then we were up to, I think, 13 or 14 in the service department by May, June. Yeah.
There was something cool I saw on my phone just before I was screwing up and couldn't get on in time. Was I guess there's another $300 billion or something like that just got signed up for that PPP stuff again. So if you didn't get it the first round, there's
reapply.
Yeah, $300 billion sitting around. And Dan will probably if you make a few comments here, and beg him enough and buy him a beer, he'll probably help you out with that if you do need it, right, Dan?
That's what I do.
All right, boss. So let's get into this because it's really good stuff. So Josh, you've got a salesperson you interviewed. We screened the living shit out of them, and we know that they got to your interview table and you hired them. What happens like right then? What do you do with a salesperson before you unleash them?
Training, man. Lots of training. So we typically do about a week classroom training. And with that, they go through like the soft wash systems videos, since we do soft washing. They go through some of our own, we have our own PowerPoints where we put them through like disc model training. And then we go through our sales process, and then we teach them how to build packages, and we run through different scenarios and do, a lot of role playing. And we do probably a solid day or 2 of role playing.
Nice. And
then after that, they go out in the field. They go out in the field for anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. It's normally about 5 days, honestly. They'll go out with the techs, sometimes half days, and just watch them, watch what they're doing. They get a little hands-on as well. And then after that, they went out with me last year because I didn't have anybody to really mentor them.
Let me ask you something, because we talked about this last time real quick with so when you start to train a salesperson, I would get, like I said a couple of weeks ago, in January, before all hell broke loose with the economy and this virus, I was getting so many calls about salespeople. I want to hire a salesperson. I want to hire a salesperson. Go over just very quickly, because we're doing this 100% and I want him to sell like crazy. Then I've got some people saying, yeah, I just want him to answer the phone and do the schedule. And that's not a salesperson, so what's your definition of a salesperson? Because there's a variety of different things out there that I hear. And then tell just real quick how you pay your salesperson.
Well, we call them territory managers, right? I think it adds a little perceived value to it. When people hear sales, I think some people can get a little turned off by that, maybe a little more defensive and guarded, if you're coming out to sell to them. Yep. So we call them a territory manager for that reason. And then as far as like the pay structure, we do a base versus commission, or a base against commission. So we offer a base. They either agree to it or they counter. If they counter, we come to an agreement. But the way it works out, really, it's a commission job. So what you're doing every month, you compare their year-to-date base versus their year-to-date sales or year-to-date commissions. Once the commissions exceed the year-to-date base, they're issued a commission bonus check at the end of that month. And then it it doesn't restart, but it recalculates at the end of each month and subtracts what you currently have paid them out for the year for their commission bonus. And then they can continue to get a bonus. So after being seasonal, you can expect they won't exceed their base most likely in January, February, because it's cold. We're not, in exterior cleaning, it's kind of the slower month. Some companies, I think, even shut down. Right. So March, April, May, that's when they should start drawing their commission checks.
That's when my life goes really well, when I don't have to worry about recruiting some crazies in Minnesota, man, for Plata. It's
always be recruiting,
absolute freaking nightmare out there.
We were recruiting window cleaners in January this year. We started posting at the end of January.
We were. Yeah. I was busy. I was busier in January recruiting than I was like literally 3 months prior to that. It was crazy. So Josh, so you got him back into training. You've got a salesperson out there. And
well, real quick, Sean, and one thing you would ask me too is how do you define a sales person, right? Because and I think there's just different types of salespeople too. We talked about this last week when I was on, or 2 weeks ago. You've got people that are really good at hunting, right? That maybe have been in sales. They're good at prospecting. They maybe come to the table with a network of people that they already work with. Maybe it's property managers, building owners. They've done business to business sales or something like that in the past, and they bring that to the table. And then a lot of times what we've looked for is people that don't have any sales experience. So, I spoke about lead generation and, really getting that dialed in really, really well. And not necessarily saying that you want lead runners, but I think there's a different mentality between, somebody that can go out and just do face-to-face sales all day, you can feed leads to, versus someone that really understands how to hunt, how to network, how to walk into a building, talk to somebody, get in front of the decision maker and actually get them to talk about getting a quote for a project. Yeah. So that takes talent. I think that takes some time, some experience. It's a level of confidence. So I think you look for two different people when you're looking at that. And when I was saying, 2 weeks ago about our sales process, we call it relationship selling. It's all about establishing a connection. It's all around the principle that, people buy from people that they like. So if you can make a connection with them, we could teach you the process. Yep. It's just really the most important thing is being very likable and being able to establish a connection.
Great. And we talked a little bit last week with Dean Smith was on, and veteran power wash or power cleaning. And he talked a lot about setting the expectation in the job posting, in the job description on what you want, how much that person's going to make. Okay. Not anywhere between 20,000 and 65,000, but what you think he's going to be able to obtain, or she. And then the culture part of that too, all has to be laid out in the job description, because one of the toughest things that I sometimes have to explain is to business owners is if your culture and that paycheck does not match what was in that job description, that person's going to last a good 2 to 3 weeks and then go.
Yep.
I mean, you cannot miss that. And I can't underscore that enough. So let's go back here to, so you're sort of at phase one, the intro. So tell me about real quick, the simulation, and then we'll go on. Because it's sort of like, that's what you're talking about, role playing. It's like a simulation type of thing.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just like they play customer, I play salesperson, vice versa. And we just go through our sales process, start to finish, like walking in, talking to the client. What does that look like? How do you introduce yourself? How do you set the expectations ahead of time? We're going out and we're looking at trying to upsell, right? So we're trying to do the value packages. They call it a good, better, or best, but we start with the best, better, good kind of model. And so we're always looking for more of an opportunity. So we try to set the expectation. Hey, look, Mrs. Smith, I'm out here. I see you, wanted to get a quote for your house. If it's all right with you, anything else that I see, I'll go ahead and, price out separately for you. That way, in case you want to get it done today, we can package it together. And even if not, you'll have a price, maybe a year from now, whenever you're ready to move forward and budget for it.
Yeah.
So setting the expectations, just what that looks like, the scripting behind it. And then we move through the whole process.
Let me touch real quick on the script, because there were a couple things I saw in here. Do you, and I love this, you have a salesperson that you literally tell them and train them to say, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, I'm on my way to the appointment. Can I've got some coffee and bagels. Would you like me to bring some coffee and bagels? That I'm looking at your script on how you do those things. Is that something like every time that's got to be part of your process, or is that just something you threw in there?
Every time.
Yep.
That's a big one. They make a call when they're leaving their first estimate or the estimate that they're currently at. They provide them with an ETA, and they give a very friendly introduction. And they ask them, hey, listen, I'm going to stop and grab a coffee. Can I get you anything? Bottle of water, gallon of milk. And it just kind of sets a nice friendly tone.
Okay. So it's definitely
That's
process.
not a deal breaker. That's got to be definitely part of the process.
How many gallons of milk have you delivered? How many times?
For being honest, 0.
But that's not, and I expected that answer. But the point is not, put yourself, let's reverse the roles for a second. Whether you're at someone's home and they offer you a glass of water, you don't take it. That was still a very friendly gesture. It still does a good connection. That would be, we don't do that. And I'll probably start doing that. But that's in my company. This isn't with sales. This is just everything. But we call it the little things, the little things customer life cycle, and all these little things that you do, from your ad to answering the call to the on the way call for the visit and everything. All those little things start to add up to a really big, amazing customer experience, which at the end results in referrals and results in online reviews. And so that's good shit. I like that.
Yeah.
Damn right.
I would just tell you, like, hey, can you grab me a 6-pack? Just a 6-pack. It's not a lot.
It's funny. So you had me thinking, because no one's asked for milk. Someone did ask for a pack of cigarettes, and I did take them, but it was a friend of a friend. So they did ask me to pick up a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
The friend of the friend of the friend. So you've got the groundwork all laid out and train, and we're still going through part of the training. And everybody that's listening, we're going to tell you how you can get this step-by-step blueprint. We're going to send it out to you and show you how to get it. So there's a lot that Josh is going through and we're talking about, but it'll be all laid out for you here as long as you stay on and watch the rest of this. So that's a couple steps. What's the next step into it?
So after we do the introduction over the phone, once you arrive on site, then you go up to the door, you're introducing yourself, you're trying to get them to sit down. Obviously with COVID-19, we've had to pivot a little bit. The process we're not following it to a T, but set the expectation with the homeowner. And then you move into step 2, which is where we analyze the needs. So this is the discovery. And this is where I like to kind of quickly transition even into step 3, where you get the customer involved, get them outside, get them walking around, asking them questions and listening. Sales is about listening.
Yep.
So We want to allow them time to talk, find out why they picked up the phone to begin with, figure out what the pain point is, because then we can assign value to that, right? It might not be the left side of the house that's covered in mildew, that's green. Miss Smith might not have walked over there. She might have been over there for 2 years. She might never walk to the side of her house, but it could be some big, rust stain coming down from a condensation unit over top the garage door, or something like that. Yep. So we got to figure out what it is that, why they pick the phone up.
Yeah, the best salespeople I know and have been around in my lifetime have been the ones that shut their mouth and listen. And that is the number one thing a successful salesperson can do. And the things that come out of the person's mouth needs to be more questions than, preaching and telling and selling and convincing and schmoozing and all the nonsense. So I think that is absolute gold, is to just listen.
May I add something to what Josh was saying earlier? He said the real common quote, people buy from who they trust or buy from who they like, something like that. And, I'm a good salesperson. I'm not a phenomenal salesperson, but,
That's
if I was just,
you look really mean.
Well, joking aside,
stone cold.
Yeah. Well, joking aside, that's something like my very first sales job I had, and my boss was a sales, like he was an ADT for a while. He was the number 2 sales guy in the country, like 3 years in a row. Largest security company in the world, largest one in the US. He was really good. One of the things he told me, which is not what I spoke up to interrupt about, but he had told me, he goes, listen, man, he goes, you're not friendly looking. He goes, you're a very friendly guy. You connect with people, but you have an automatic thing you have to overcome the second they open the door. But that's not what I was going to say, but thanks for
It's that resting bitch face you got.
Yeah.
That,
thanks for pointing out my faults.
One of the first things you need to say is you don't have to hide your kids and where are you going? And I'm sorry. And I don't have a gun. And then can I talk to you? Yeah.
I don't know about the gun part.
Yeah,
but
now he's got
but back to what I was going to comment on with Josh, with just some personal experience. So I'm a good salesperson. I'm an above average guy that, I do a pretty good job at selling, but my son Caleb has moved into sales this year. He moved full-time in February. And I knew he was going to do well because he had done some stuff. He just wasn't doing it full-time, but we had put him out there. And I originally thought, you know what, I'm going to send him to like the smaller stuff. If we get leads for like big ones, I'm going to do that myself. He's kicking my ass. I've unless there's just overflow and he can't get to him. And our other guy that actually just recently resigned because not for bad reasons, but bad for us, but not bad for him. I was just doing overflow because people like that son of a bitch. Now he has this special thing about him. One, he's a young, good looking kid that's professional. He
does look more like Melissa.
Right. But 2, when he starts talking to people, he's like, yeah, I started this business with my dad when I was still in high school and blah, blah, blah. Well, all of a sudden people love him because he's a young guy that's responsible, that started a business. He's not even 21 yet. And now he's just, he called me today, the things have, it looks like started to get better for us on our leads since all of this has went down with the virus, but people love him. And even though I might be a technical better salesperson than him, he's just mopping the floor.
He's got that moxie.
Connecting.
Yep.
Real quick, this is the most important part of the process. So this is, the connection discovery is the most important piece. And I like to spend a lot of time on it because of that. Like, people will tell you how to sell to them if you let them talk. Yep. You want to find out, what do they value? What is important to them? And you want to deliver your show when you get to the show part, or deliver your differentiators or your value in a way in the form of questions rather than telling them. Because if you're telling them, you're selling to them and it comes off real pushy. You got to be really careful with that. And it could go as something like this, like, man, Mrs. Jones, that is a beautiful flower bed you've got there. Your landscaping is gorgeous. How much time do you spend on that every year? What's the secret? And then she gets talking about her flowers and how much she loves plants and puts this time into it. Oh, that's great. Well, by the way, we're an eco-friendly company. We have a product specifically designed to protect your landscape. It's called Plant Wash.
Yeah.
So it allows us to like get in there without just, hey, by the way, we got Plant Wash. It's awesome. We're going to put it on afterwards. It'll protect everything. Oh, and then we're going to do this, put this wax on. And so if you can just structure it in the form of questions, it allows them to talk. You can figure out what's important to them.
I talked to one customer about waxing on, and a lawsuit and a lot of money later, I have not done that ever again.
So I got to hit some comments here. So Jeremy Brook chimed in right away. He said, the biggest thing I've been learning, always recruit and keep that pipeline full. And I don't want to like correct him because that was a good comment, but what I think he meant to say was always be recruiting. Is what I think.
ABC.
The ABCs, man.
Jeremy,
Brendan
boy, he's got
McCaffrey's got a 7-month-old. He's out in New York. He said he doesn't know how he's still up, but you know he can't miss it. You know he's got FOMO.
Brennan's the next guest on my podcast, by the way. Brennan, we got to set that time here for the next day or two. So,
and our boy Ryan Edrington said, should sales reps take disc training, or should they just stick to selling value and not worry about personality?
I need to interject on that. Ryan is actually talking about disc golf. He doesn't even know what. He's not nearly as smart as he sounds.
Golf skills, regardless.
Oh man.
So he followed up and said, people get caught up in disc, but if you are sticking to value, does personality really matter as much? Thoughts?
I think disc is very important. I think it all goes together. I think when you talk to a good sales guy, they naturally do this stuff, or sales gal. I don't want to, sorry, girl guy, but a good salesperson.
So you're going to get Ryan in trouble.
Yeah, I think a natural salesperson is just, they do that. And I don't think they just even know they're doing it, right? They're mirroring, they're talking to an S or a C and they're lowering their voice. They're talking slower, they're being more analytical. They're going off for all the details, exactly how they're going to do things. Whereas if it's an I or a D, I'm being real loud. I'm coming in. I'm going to tell you it's going to be this. This is how we're going to do it. I know you got your time's really valuable. Boom, boom, boom. But
yeah, you can say all the same things and
right.
the same value. But if I show up in rags, missing half of my teeth, it doesn't matter what the hell value I talk about.
Well, basically what we're talking about is Tommy Boy versus Richard versus David Spade. I mean, David Spade's the numbers guy and nobody likes him and he's the geeky, but he's got the numbers, he's got the value, but there's no personality. Tommy Boy's got the personality. And if I had a butcher and something up or something, I can't remember how that line goes, but that's really the difference. You got a number.
Stick my head up a cow's ass, or I can take the butcher's word for it.
I've seen it 100
times.
All right, I got one more good one here. One more good one, and then we got to jump back into it. Our man Brent Burkwall's on.
Yes.
The man, the myth, the legend, Brent Burkwall. He's actually our manager in Minneapolis here. He's a stud.
He is, man.
He said, how do you train your technicians as salespeople out in the field? Like,
question.
Is there a good way to train them to get better at upselling when they're out in the field?
Bobby, this is you, right, man? This is all you.
Well, you know what? I have some good tips that have worked for us, but I would say we're not excellent at this. Part of the reason, and I'm kind of curious to your feedback on this, Josh, is we sell like you do. We go out in person and we quote everything and build, bundles and stuff. So when the technician gets out there, there's not going to be something that he's going to be able to recommend that we didn't already recommend. But now this works with a salesperson as well. I think the biggest thing for your technicians is the I notice, I recommend thing. So your technician can be like, hey, Mrs. Jones, even though we already quoted it, I noticed your thing over here is dirty. I'd recommend while we're out here, we can go ahead and take care of that for you if you would like. And the reason, that's maybe a lower level sales than maybe what your sales guys are going to be doing. But your technicians are technicians for a reason. Your salespeople make more money. And if they were salespeople, they'd be doing that. So you need to, a lot of techs, not all, but a lot of technicians are going to have anxiety or resistance against wanting to sell. So you need to set them up with a softball. And that I recommend, or I noticed and I recommend you don't have to have courage to do that. Mrs. Jones, notice the driveway's dirty. I'd recommend doing it while we're out here. Would you like us to? that little thing, if you're at 0 on tech sales, that will help you. Now, if you're there, I'm going to be honest with you, at my company, we're not really much, we're not really any more advanced than that, but it works. But we also don't get a crap ton of technician upsells. Most of the times if our techs sell something, it's a neighbor that talked to them. It's not on the job that we're doing, because me or my son or my other sales rep, we've already quoted everything. So.
And there's a handful of people on I would imagine on here. I don't have it in front of me. Dan, you do, that might be lawn maintenance guys or gals. It could be some maid services out there. Some owners that are listening to this, and if you have anything that you're upselling in the maid service industry, type it up there on a comment, because I'd love to see it. Because I know at Blue Skies we tried to do not just dusting, but actually wiping down baseboards inside of the oven, which we don't typically do. So I don't care what industry it is. And I'd be curious to hear I've
got something for you, Sean,
lawn
on that.
services, landscaping. There's always something that you can do to upsell or at least offer it. So I'd be curious if anybody can type up a comment on that that's outside of the exterior, window cleaning, power washing stuff.
Sean, I can give you a quick one on that. We don't have to go real deep into it, but basically, like most maids, my wife has a maid service. So most maid services, will require a deep clean on the first cleaning, and then you can do the standard going forward. Now this wasn't our idea, but it's a great idea. It's a annualized deep clean service. So you can say, okay, Mrs. Jones, for an additional, you come up with your price, but it can be small, $10, $20 if it's a huge house. For an additional $10 a month, $15 a month, we'll give you a deep clean every year. Or actually, I think it comes out to 3 deep cleans a year.
Yeah.
And what it is in January, it's baseboards, and in February, it's ovens, and then in March, it's inside the fridge, and then in
rotate,
and then you rotate it throughout the year. So that's a little add-on that you can add to your current customer base.
Yeah, and that you talk $5-10 doesn't sound like a lot, but if those that own a maid service know on that recurring weekly, every other week, recurring, a couple hundred clients, that's a lot of money over a year.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back on track with the sales stuff with Josh.
Well, what's Josh's thoughts on the technician thing that do you think I'm on?
Yeah, I would just say what Bobby said. My techs are techs. I use them as a referral machine. And what we do is we give them $50 if they can get a referral, if they can get a lead from a neighbor of a current client or a family member. So when they're on site, if they can get us a lead, but it has to be a neighbor, someone in that neighborhood, or a family member of a client that we service. Nice. We'll give them $50 for every lead. But we do the same thing. So it's face-to-face sales. We're out there. We've already priced everything. They have that sheet to refer to. So there's not a lot of time or room for them to upsell. But again, just different models. If you talk to Kaplan with zero res, their guys would go out and they would easily upsell a couple $100 a day. That was the model, and they were trained to do that.
I was going to say there's a flipping point where you get above, you have to have enough guys out there to run Kaplan's model from zero res, but once you start getting above like 10 routes and you have enough people out and about in the city, the way they would do it, rather than schedule a crew for the whole day, they would schedule every crew for their first job. And then they had a bunch of jobs on the schedule that weren't dispatched.
Live dispatching, yeah.
And so they would only fill a day 70% full. The other 30% of the capacity on that day, it was expected that the crews would upsell it. And so they wouldn't get a full day's work unless they upsold. And so they had a big time, similar to what Bobby said, in that it's like, I noticed, I recommend, but they would have their steps that they would go through in every house, because everybody would book the 3 room, 0 resified for $149 or whatever it was. And their average ticket would be closer to like $500 because they would just go in and once you got to that house, it was, I noticed this, I can do these rooms, I can do the animal treatment, whatever it is. I see you got a dog, we got this special pet treatment. So that was what they were trained to do. And they wouldn't get their next job until they called dispatch. And then dispatch would see, would start shuffling jobs around to whoever got done first. And I think you need to have enough guys to pull that off. But once you get above like 10 routes in an area, you can flip your model and then not route the whole day. Just have a dispatch that sends them out as they get done. And then that model works pretty sweet.
Yeah.
One of the better marketing techniques we ran into when I had my home cleaning business in Cleveland was driving to the wrong house, opening up the door and clean the living daylights out of the house, and it wasn't the right house. And so we got 2 or 3 deals like that a month, and we just kept going at it and worked real well for about a year. Until the cops got called the one time, and then that didn't work out real well. But so we've got one thing I wanted to say real quick. When Dean was on last week, Dean had a sales model where he did a lot of prep work for his salespeople in the office. I mean, they were in like the Google, Street View, counting windows and panes and all these things. So the sales guy or gal just went out there. Basically everything was done other than, let's sign on to the dotted line. And I shouldn't say not everything.
The counting was done.
Yeah. There's still work to be done, but I mean, there was a lot of prep work at the office.
Yeah.
What sort of prep work gets done, or what's your technique on that?
Say again, Sean, something was wrong with my audio.
So we've got, Dean was on last week, Dean Smith with Veterans Power Wash. And he said that they do a lot of work in the office before the salesperson even gets out to the client or to the prospective client. And Dan, help me, I can't remember exactly how much they did, but it was a lot. It was
like they would measure the roof. They'd get the square footage of the house. So they would get all the measurements ahead of time.
The routing.
Yeah, they would build the whole estimate in advance. Everybody that's watching, I'm laughing because Bobby put up in the private chat that we can all see. Like, is anybody else sick of this Josh guy yet? Got to call you out, Bobby, for your bullshit. So whenever I share my screen on my Bookkeeping Beer and BS, Bobby would always comment on my personal Facebook message. So it would pop up on my screen and it would be something like, hey, did you get that wart removed from your penis yet? Or, some awesome comment like that. And then I disappointed him yesterday when he realized I had turned off my notifications. But anyway.
Hey, Dan, I want to interrupt real quick since the
I'm already interrupting.
But I need to interrupt in all seriousness, because there's some people watching right now that are not going to be able to watch the whole thing. And the fact is, you guys offer recruiting services. So we're going to continue to talk about some good sales tactics. We're going to continue to talk about training. We're going to continue to talk about recruiting you can do on your own. But for those of you that are watching, if you look right here on my screen, you can go to yourblueskies.com/JT. And that's where you can get in touch with Sean about recruiting services. So if you guys need help with that, even if you're just interested, okay, go to yourblueskies.com/JT. And the reason you want to do the /JT is Josh down here, I think on my screen, Josh gets a little love on that too. So don't just go to .com, but go /JT. And then these guys will talk you through the options that they have. I'm going to tell you, I think the best way I can describe these guys is to give you the negative about Your Blue Skies and the recruiting service is, holy shit, they give you too many leads. There's just a whole lot to come through, and it makes you work, and they vet things, but it's like, if you want to hire some people and you need when I say leads, you need, I'm talking about candidates.
You need interviews.
Yeah. These guys, they can hook you up. So I know that was a rude interruption, but it was appropriate for right now. So go to yourblueskies.com/JT. All right, back to your interruption, Dan.
I forgot what my interruption was, but so Dean Smith.
Who invited this guy anyway?
I don't know. Yeah.
You know what? Yourblueskies.com/JNE. Forget that JT stuff.
Yeah. So yourblueskies.com/horse-sized duck.
Yeah.
So Dean tries to get everything done for a salesperson in advance so that they could just go out and focus on the relationship. And he believes it allows them to get more appointments done in a day if they measure whatever they can measure from the office, so that they're not walking around the house measuring. So.
He was doing like 8 or 9 deals a day, going out in estimates. That's a lot of estimates in a day.
It's a good plan.
Yeah. Eight's a whole lot.
We used to send them out for a lot, and we scaled back. So we try to do 4 to 6, and honestly 4 to 5 is the sweet spot. for us. But I do like the idea of that. It sounds interesting, and I'm sure it works really well for Dean. My guys will say that my sales guys will go out and even the night before they'll start looking the property up sometimes and measuring out stuff so that when they get there, they can, take more time to really just talk to them. But again, as we move into the sales process, you move from step 3 into step 4, you're going to start taking measurements and getting into, mapping everything out using the satellite. We use planimeter, which is a map for the roof. So yeah, the more time you can spend talking to the client, making the connection, the better. So if that helps you do that and you're running 8 leads a day, then I think that's a great idea.
So when you get all the measurements done, and I don't know that we need to touch on a lot about that, but if you want to interject anything, Josh, feel free, because you are the man when it comes to this process. 4 or 5 sales guys, and you're crawling up on 2 million at the end of this year, maybe in sales if things go well. I think people ought to listen. So if there's anything else with the measurement, let me know. But if not, you start to get into talking a little bit more about, is it the value at this point? Here's the measurements. Are you at the kitchen table now, or what are we doing now?
No. So once we get the measurements, then we're going to go back in and talk to the client. So when you get the measurements, you're putting the proposal together, you're building your packages, which takes some time and some work. Building packages is just putting some prices together, bundling them, and coming up with a percentage. You got to work it out in your head. And there's a way to do it. There's a strategy behind it, which we can unpack another time. But basically, after you get your measurements, you start putting the proposal together, building your packages based on the needs and based on their wants. Once you are finished, you go to the door, and the goal is to try to get to the kitchen table. You'll hear Pat Clark say this all the time: get to the kitchen table. When there's something about people, asking you to come into their house and welcoming you in. Now with the COVID-19, you can't do that right now. With social distancing, we're not going into people's houses. And in fact, some people don't want to meet. We're shooting videos and giving them YouTube links of us going around the house and doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's worked really, really well. So, because we introduce ourselves and all that. But bottom line is, when we get to them, the first thing we start doing, then we move into step 5, which is the show. So this is when we've done questioned them. We know what's important to them. We've built the package. We've measured everything out. Now we're going to talk to them about who we are as a company. What do we stand for? What motivates us? And then we're going to go through our differentiators. This is the most important piece. Why are you different from the other guy? Why are they going to spend $1,000 with you versus $199 with the other guy to do a house wash? So the differentiators are important, and I recommend every company should know their differentiators and really clearly have them defined and spelled out. It's a big part of your value proposition.
Before Bobby gets to interject, are those?
I raised my hand. I was saying I would like to talk when given the opportunity.
Those differentiators, we've talked about them in like writing job ads before, that you need to set yourself apart. Is it the same differentiators when you're having your salesperson go?
Well, it's exactly the same, right? What don't we call our employees our internal customers, right? And then we have our external customers. So when we're marketing for, an employee, we're selling to them. Essentially, we're selling to them. We want them to come work for us rather than the other guy. And why do we? So we have to differentiate ourselves. We have to tell them why it's so great to work here. So the differentiators are super important. That is the value proposition. That's the big part of it. So we go through the differentiators. For us, we've got 9 of them spelled out here. You've got your warranty that you're offering. You should have some sort of a promise or guarantee that you can give your customers with the service that you're offering. That's a huge one. You'll stand out every time with that. Your reviews, you family owned and operated. I'll just go through some of ours. We talk about our reviews. We talk about how we're family run, family owned. We talk about our 12-month guarantee. I stole that from Kaplan. Gotta love it guarantee, the 12-month house wash guarantee. We do background checks on the employees, soft wash system certified. Guys go through the training. We have our 5-year warranty on roof cleaning. And then one thing that we did this year was we're the zero carbon company. So we basically calculated our carbon footprint, and to offset our emissions, we plant a tree. So we found out that we need to plant 1,800 trees to be carbon neutral, and we plant a tree for every service that we deliver. So if we do a house wash, roof wash, gutter clean out, patio cleaning, that's 4 services. We plant 4 trees for that one job. And that there's a calculator that'll tell you how much that offsets your footprint. So again, the goal
These
is
are
to
the
be
4 trees. These are the 4 trees right here that he
I
planted.
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
the palms.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a differentiator, right? You know, eco-friendly.
I think
So
that's,
anyway, go
I think
through the
that's awesome. I
differentiator.
really
Yeah.
do.
Say for Ecotech Power Wash.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I think
Yeah.
that's, I think that's
So
fits
quarterly,
the-
we make a donation quarterly, and we're not actually planning on, it's just a donation that we make to a company that does it.
Oh, so you're lying.
Jackie,
You're
Ron,
lying.
Ross.
Okay. I got it.
Perception is
You got
reality, Bobby.
But my point is there's so many ways you can differentiate yourself, so
Yeah.
many ways to give back and make a difference in the community. You don't have to go out there with a shovel and plant trees. There's organizations out there that do this that you can donate to, and there's a dollar amount and they'll plant a tree for every dollar amount that you provide. So anyway, I would suggest looking at something like that. People rally behind that. That's a good way to create raving fans. And so then let's move into the next part, if that's all right with you guys.
Let me.
The next
So
step-
I got a couple tidbits to hit up here. So Jackie Lashley Svek says,
Oh no, I went to school with her. What is she doing on?
he says, "What the hell are you drinking, young man?" She didn't say young man. I added that.
Ask her what she thinks I'm drinking.
Well,
She's my little Irish girl.
watching. You can just ask her. We
Total
got Bush
fancy
Mayonnaise.
over here.
We got whatever's in Sean's red cup. We got some silver bullets and the camel koozie so that keep them close by cold.
I love you, Sack.
Our boy Ryan Edrington says, Josh, do you give the customer a company portfolio to look at while taking measurements? If so, has that increased your sales and conversions?
No, we're supposed to hand a tablet. If you read through my sales process, it's in there. It's not done every time, but I think it's a great thing to do, especially if you have really great videos of your team in action doing work, or it's a great gallery. So yeah, when I have the tablet on me, we do hand it to them. We'll let them go through the photo gallery, take a look at the videos. It's definitely, I think it's really great if you can do that, if you have those videos, for sure.
And there's
You do a
the
tablet
web,
instead of a
the
folder?
website under Bobby there with the JT, yourblueskies.com /JT. You'll get the blueprint that Josh is going over when you go in there. So that's why you need to have the JT at the end of that as well. And real quick, Bobby, you plugged Blue Skies recruiting for me, and I thank you very much. So I want to kind of say one thing too. You were talking about competitive advantages, right? Is really what we're talking about here. And one of the things that I always tell people with our recruiting service, that we are first and foremost colleagues. I mean, we own cleaning companies as well. So anybody out there that wants some information, go to that website. You're also going to get our blueprint free. It's about 35 or 40 pages on how to do, I mean, everything you can possibly think of. And if it's something after you get that you just don't have the time to do or don't like to do, that's where we come in and we'll take care of it for you. You're never going to find another company, one person show, whatever it is, that owns cleaning companies. I own one for 20 years. Okay. And also recruits and finds you technicians, salespeople, operations managers, you name it, we'll find it. And, part of our core values or our core behaviors is that we're plow horses, and that's it. That's the bottom line. My sister happens to be the customer service manager, 15 years. She shies away from nothing. And so that is our competitive advantage as far as the recruiting end of it.
Booyah.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Josh, what else you got with that, your step 6 here? So or do you have some more to touch on step 5?
No, that's it. I mean, you got to deliver your company story and deliver the differentiators.
Hey, Josh, just to answer a question, and I know you're ready to get to the next one, so I'll keep this to 30 seconds or less, but someone asked a question in the chat because I was going to ask you if you did it and you already answered, but they asked about, we do leave a packet. So this is our folder that we use. The folders, they're kind of expensive, but they're well worth it in my opinion. And I think the key here is there's no wrong way to do it. Now, I've kind of taken a big hit during the virus thing, but Josh's company's doing really good. Mine, I'm not as far as long as Josh, so like he's the bigger company that's having more success, but we're doing really good. But someone asked what I put in these because they've seen these on some of my videos. Now this one's empty just because I don't actually have a packet right here at the house. But we do a couple things. One that's printed. Josh is talking about your differentiators, or I would say unique selling proposition, your USP. But Josh has, I think he said 9. We talk about 4. We do 4 of them. So I have the 4 right here, and then we do things a little backwards from Josh. We do our presentation like at the beginning, and we try not to make it real presentation-ish. But what we do is we call it the pre-objection presentation. We're trying to do 2 things. One, put it in their head that we're going to be really expensive. So that way we can come back with a discount, and we are going to be more expensive, but it won't be as bad as what they're kind of thinking. But 2, we're giving them we're overcoming those common objections before they even ask them. And so we've got them printed in here. We talk about it. We have our insurance certificates. We have some photos of work that we do. And we actually have a coupon, which is always less than a package discount. So the coupon never gets used. But then we give this to the customer while we do our walk around, and then they're able to look at that stuff and get those objection overcoming things that we do. They're looking at it while we're doing our work. So that was the answer to the person asking. We have insurance proof in there. We have photos of our work. We have a coupon that never gets used. And then on the folder itself, it has here's why you would use us, even though we are more expensive. It doesn't say it in those words,
right,
but that's what it's doing. So
I want to just to remind everybody that Josh hired 4 or 5 salespeople in like a month and a half's time. And we talked a little bit about this. So I'm going to make this very quick, is that, can I afford a salesperson? Can I afford a salesperson? Just figure it out. You need a salesperson. Figure it out. I don't care what
salesperson. You can't afford not to have them. They pay for themselves.
You can't afford not to have them.
You can't afford to have a tech then either, right? I mean, give me a break. You need to figure it out. I'll help you figure it out. Josh will help you figure it out, and we'll make it happen. But when you go out, and I don't know of many companies that go out and do what Josh did, hiring 4 or 5. You just need to get your 1 or 2. That's
because he's got some freaking pipes, man.
Yeah, he does. Second biggest arms in BBB next to Nick Thurston.
Huh?
But
Nick Thurston,
it's one thing to hire that many. It's another to keep growing and keep them on board too.
Josh, listen, you got room to brag, but Nick is just swole, man.
Nick's on a different level. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he's huge.
So
I will definitely concede to Nick Thurston.
I'm going to throw a comment out so that we don't forget about it later, but I think we're going to get to this one later. So you can answer it now if you want, Josh, but you can hold it till later. I just want to hit it while it's fresh. So Brendan McCaffrey asks, what are some of the follow-ups you have with past jobs? You finish the job. What sequence does that customer get put into? Postcards from Send Jim, monthly emails. What can you do to set yourself apart from a customer lifecycle perspective? So if you want to hit that now, you can, or if that's a good one to table and you're going to get to it.
No, I mean, he said if we do 5 rounds to hit the neighbors up, and then you always need to stay in front of your customers, right? Whether it's drip email campaigns, we do a 6-month, we do a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, and then we do a seasonal thing. And then they're always getting different things throughout the year. Mother's Day, they get a Mother's Day coupon card that goes out. They get a Father's Day. We do something at Halloween. Every holiday, I've got little cards that go out via email. So staying in front of your customers is super important. As far as the follow-up too, so the day of the job, so my territory managers, they get tagged in the job as well. So after they sell it, it goes to our production, it gets dispatched, and they're attached to it. So they have to follow up at the end of the day with the client and see how the experience was. And it's at that time that they ask for a referral too. So they're asking the customer, I'm glad everything went well. Is there anyone that you could think that needs the service? Friend, family member, maybe a neighbor, something like that. So they ask for the referral at that time. So that's the follow-up.
Josh, does your salespeople have tablets with them, or what are they using?
Yeah, use iPads.
And so what are you doing with, you talked about, you go over your Google reviews and the reviews. Are they somewhere along the process going, and, oh, by the way, here's my tablet. Can you go boom, boom, boom for me?
Yeah. So
we too early in the process.
Yeah, we have all that automated on the back end. So I have automated email sequences and text messages through Service Autopilot that go out. So when an invoice is completed, and then it's a delay for like 5 days. And the reason we do a delay is in case there's a problem or an issue, right? So if there's an issue with a job, we can halt that automation so it's not going out and forwarding them to leave us a negative review, for example. So, but anyway, it gives us time to fix it and deal with the problem if that's what happens. So we've automated that sequence. It's kind of like not as built out, nowhere near as like a nice job or anything like that, but it's an automated thing. It just takes place when an invoice is closed or when a job's completed. I think that's the trigger. Yeah.
What are we doing next here? Where are we at?
Yeah. So now we are.
But we're skipping that. What was the one that I can't, never mind. I was going to put a joke in. I'm not even going to finish. Carry on.
Wait a minute.
Were you going to go with the heady story?
I do tell the heady story at the
Just
end.
let me know when you do, and I'll make sure I sign off.
I have a good accounting joke to tell right before
My internet might go down.
The heady story is the best goddamn story you've ever heard, Josh. Screw you.
I'd like to tell a joke right now, but I can't remember it. That's great. Maybe one of these times I'll tell you how I got nicknamed Shady. I think I might have told you that, Dan, in Texas when we were trying to avoid the virus. Step 7? Are we at 6 or 7 here?
Whoa,
easy with the sex.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is PG here. Let's keep this PG.
Too many of the NAs. So no, we're at step 6, set the bar. So step 6 is set the bar. So this is where you're going to find out a little bit more about what the homeowner knows about power washing, pressure washing. Is you're going to get ready to talk about your process, your unique value proposition. And I say that because being in the exterior cleaning, we like to leverage the soft washing process against pressure washing. So we set them up. We're talking, ask them, have you had it done before? What have you paid in the past? It also gives us an idea or gives us the opportunity to understand what they think they should be paying for the service. That is, if they've had it before, maybe they've driven around and they've seen the $199 sign on the side of the road, or the $99 house wash guy. So it gives us a chance to really overcome those objections and prepare for that. So we start setting the bar, asking them questions, letting them know that, this is our service. It's not apples to apples, right? You want to be the pear. We're the pear compared to the apple. So instead of, coming in and doing a $99 house wash, our guys are licensed, insured, background checked, they're trained, they go through vigorous amounts of training. Not only are we going to clean the house, we're going to put a wax coating on afterwards. We're going to protect your landscaping. We get products specifically designed to protect your landscape. And so we go through all of that, set the bar with them. And then step 7 is the presentation. You kind of go right into this. So the presentation part is where we lay out our folders, Bobby. And inside of our folders, I think we have something very similar. We got our flyers set up. We have a stackable one. So at the top, we've got your roof cleaning, house wash, window cleaning, gutter cleaning. Nice. And then on there, those are built. They talk about the warranties. They talk about the process, the products. They identify a lot of some of the major concerns and pain points that come with exterior cleaning. We spell them out and we bring them up front. So landscape damage, we talk about how we protect their landscaping, what we do to overcome that. And then we go through each one of the flyers with them in the folder. So that's step 7. And we're also going through pictures. So this is a great time. Get your tablets out.
Can I ask you a question on that, Josh?
Yeah.
So when you're going through that and you have those inserts for the house wash, or house wash, roof, blah, 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 do you focus much on that, or do you just say, here's the shit that we do? And if they want to see it, they look at it, or do you go through those things? I
don't go through them all, but they're there if I need them to refer to. If they're asking questions, it's nice because I have them right there and I can show them.
Yeah.
And it's good to refer to. And then I bring it up and I go through the details, with that service that they're curious about or that they're questioning. And then our folders on the back, they have before and after photos. So we'll go through some of those. And then we have a binder. If we're selling a roof cleaning, we'll go through we'll show them the documentation from ARMA that talks about using sodium hypochlorite. We have a documentation from Certainty, which is one of the largest vinyl manufacturers. They talk about using, bleach on siding. We have one for James Hardy plank siding. So we go through all the different materials just to validate our process and show them that, we follow what's recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is step 8. Moving along. Any questions about that? What do you do at that point, Bobby? So you're going through your folder ahead of time, right?
Yeah,
Before you
we've
even-
taken the reverse approach. So and I was actually trained the way you do it. So when I was in security, my sales process was pretty much exactly like what you're doing. We're still doing the same things. And I don't know, it's not hurting us. I don't know if this is better, but it's what we do. So we've done the thing where I try to diffuse it. So like we approach it from the perspective of, hey, Mrs. Jones, before I do the quote, let me just tell you a little bit about us. So you know who you're dealing with. Boom, 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 boom. And we have 2 goals. Goal 1 is to make them think we're going to be too expensive for them to afford, because we won't be. We're just going to be more expensive than the other guys. But if they can afford us, then all of a sudden it's a great value, right? And then the second thing is we're trying to hit the objections before we give them a price. We and just like you were talking about, we don't just carry liability, but we also have workers' comp. We also have commercial auto. If you hire a contractor without workers' comp, your homeowner's policy may not even cover an issue if something happens. So you have full protection. You are protected when you hire us. You get proof when you hire us because you can check us out online and see our reviews. No one else, blah, blah, blah. So we do that at the beginning so we call it our pre-objection presentation. So then when we come back, we're basically just assuming the sell. So we come back and we say, this, here's some bundles for you. Which one of these bundles is going to work best for you guys? So we've just we're doing basically what you're doing. I don't think we do it quite as well, to be honest, but we're basically doing the same thing inverted.
I think you do it great. I just think Caleb does it better, obviously.
You know what?
Yeah.
I hate admitting not being, I'm a very competitive guy and I'm a take my ball and go home kind of guy, but I can't argue with you on that.
You know what? I don't buy that for a minute,
Proud
Bobby.
father moment.
I don't buy it for a minute because you've posted Caleb on Facebook about 25 times going, this kid is just a stud.
He's awesome. Listen, he had I think he did, I think on his second or third week in sales, I think he did almost $20,000 in 1 week, just
Caleb's Bobby's son, everybody.
Residential work.
How old is he?
He's 20. He'll be 21 this summer. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But you know what they say, a kid is never as good as, or a kid is only as good as his parents. Right. So,
sure.
He can't ever be better than me.
Mine will be out of jail any month.
All right, I gotta hit a couple things here. So John Disselkamp checked in. John, I know he's like, the dude is freaking sharp. Let's just say you asked him if you'd rather fight 1,000 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck, he would take the wise answer and say the 1 horse-sized duck. I know he would. I've heard his podcast with Bobby. The dude is a freaking wizard.
And John, that's why you're never invited on these things.
The dude just knows what he's doing. He said, why do I never get invited to these? So I'm pretty sure next Thursday we're breaking down the janitorial market.
Yes, absolutely.
Pretty sure that's what John just said.
Absolutely. We got a lot of janitorial commercial people on this one today. We had a lot of people coming out of the woodwork the last couple of days.
Nice.
Yeah. So John, next Thursday, you're on, man. Or Wednesday. We can talk. John, we do bookkeeping with John too. So we'll talk to him Wednesday and Thursday, maybe back to back. Ryan Edrington chimed in, said, what about qualifying over the phone versus in person? Especially
Ryan, that's the stupidest question I've ever heard.
I think it's great.
Hold on, Josh, before you answer, for anyone that doesn't know me and Ryan's one of my best friends. I'm just being a dick to my buddy. So anyway, carry on, Josh.
Yeah, like usual. Yeah. If Bobby's an asshole to you.
To your buddy,
I love you.
Like that to everyone.
No, only people I love. Anyway, carry on. Answer that question.
Yeah, you should pre-qualify him. I love that. Yeah, we rate the leads. So ask him a series of questions. Figure out the urgency level. Is this something they need done right away? Do they need it done next week? We have a point system, and it's based on, like I said, we ask them 3 questions. We ask them, how soon are you looking to get it done? What services are they specifically looking to have done? And then we also ask them, or we look the house up. That's what it is. We look the size of the house up, and if it's over a certain square footage, then it qualifies as a higher ranking lead. So those are the three things that we look at, but you should pre-qualify them. Absolutely. And then high quality leads should go to your best salespeople. That's the other part of this, guys. So if you take your best leads, you want to send them to your best salespeople.
I like that.
You gotta start your AT, man. Michael Jordan didn't sit on the bench.
Nope, you don't set Michael on the bench, dude. So
and you don't give Shaq your free throws.
That's right. So listen, back to now we got to close them. Well, real quick with the presentation folders and moving into the pre-close. When you're talking to them and you're going through those flyers, it's important to really sell them on the results, right? What is it going to look like? We want to invoke some emotion at this stage of the game. That's what we do with showing them the photos, talking about the warranties, talking about how great everything's going to look afterwards. Sell the results. And then we move into step 8. That's the pre-close. So the pre-close, real quick, this is really, we want to get the customer in the habit of saying yes. You'll hear this, any good sales process, get the customer in the habit of saying the word yes. So we set them up by asking them a series of questions. So I'll read through it right here. It says, if you've crushed your presentation up to this point, the pre-close should be a breeze. So it looks something like this. Mr. Smith, let's get down to business. If you're like me, there are really only 3 things that really matter in hiring a contractor. The first is in the confidence in the company that you're hiring. After your appointment today, do you feel comfortable with Ecotech Power Wash being the company that you choose to do business with? And you wait for an answer and you get your yes.
Yep.
The second thing you're looking for is a quality service. Would you agree, after looking through our folder, that our services we offer are of quality? Would you be satisfied with these? You wait for the yes. And then you ask them one more question. The final question that we have here says, final thing that you're looking for is a fair price for your project. Would you agree if you were able to negotiate a fair price, Ecotech Power Wash would be the choice? And then you get your third yes. So that's the pre-close. And these don't have to be the questions that you use, but you should get the customer in the habit of saying the word yes.
Man, that's freaking gold.
I think the one thing that you can't gloss over, I think, is absolutely, and we keep saying this is the most important thing. I'm telling you right now, we touched on it when we started this. The salesperson that runs their mouth and runs their mouth and runs their mouth is the worst salesperson that you can possibly have on your payroll. And you said it. There's nothing else to really sell. You've gone through the processes. You've gotten to this stage. It's a matter of asking for the deal and then shut up. And you see it on Shark Tank. You'll see your Cuban will sit there and scream at people. Shut up. We're going to answer you. There's 5 sharks ready to give $10 million to this idiot, and he's running his mouth, still selling. And I'm telling you, silence is beautiful, because if you're a salesperson and you can discipline yourself to do that, it's very difficult for a prospective client to say no because of that silence. And if you've never done that, you don't know what I'm talking about. But trust me, it's gold. That's the number one thing a salesperson can do. Shut your mouth and let the deal happen.
Josh, do you guys have like a list? I mean, I'd imagine there's going to be people that do the old, well, maybe, or like, I'd have to think about, like, do you have a sequence of like rebuttals for potential rejections or like waffling?
We talk about them at meetings. Yeah. So when we have our sales meetings, we kind of do like a mini level 10 meeting at our sales meetings. We go through our scorecard, and then we drop down, whether it's average ticket, close rate, total sales, wherever the problem is, we drop it down, we pick it apart. And then we also bring all of our open leads to the table. So all of our 9.9s that we haven't closed yet. And we talk about what was the objection here? How can we close this one? And as the sales manager, I sit there with them and I'll review them and look where we can, if it's something we can help them out price wise, or can we just downsell them in a unique way? But yeah, so we do try to overcome objections. Specifically scripting wise, I'm not a real pushy salesperson. So to be honest with you, I know there's a lot of great books out there. Like, I think you got the Closer Survival Guide by Grant Cardone, and Overcoming Objections. Like, there's a million things that you can say, but we don't really do a lot of really pushy, heavy, high pressured sales, in other words. So if they're not going to close when we get through this next step, and step 9, the close, It's just about follow-ups at that point for us.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think, it takes a lot of confidence too, to deliver and overcome objections. If there are objections that have to do with our process and things like that, then yeah, we'll go into depth about those.
I think one of the things with objections is that there's something that was missing up front when you were asking the questions and planting the seeds, or like Bobby does, he takes care of those objections up front. So something's missing up front if you've got a lot of objections at the end of this process.
Yeah, I agree. And the reason I say that is because, in fact, what comes to my mind when you say objections, I only think of one or two that we get all the time. And it's, I've got to talk to my spouse,
Right.
or I just need to think about it. I need to look, relook at the numbers, just make sure that we can do this. I'm leaning towards package B, but, C really makes a lot of sense. If we can afford it, I want to do C. So, and in that case, I'll make notes. And when I follow up with them, maybe I'm giving them an extra little, 5% off, or I'm working out a payment plan so that they can do C or something like that. But I don't do a lot of high pressure sales. Say again?
Do you just book package B and then try to upsell and like make a note for the tech to upsell package C when they get there? Like, oh, let's just book package B now. You have time to think about it, but at least you reserved your spot.
We do that.
Oh yeah,
we
you
push
want to
on
get them
that.
to buy,
Yeah.
no matter what. So whether it's B or C, you want them to purchase from you. Absolutely, you want to sell them.
Josh, let me. Oh, go ahead, Dan. If you're, I had a follow up on that. So.
One more follow up. Do you take a deposit when you're there for them to reserve their spot on the schedule to lock it in?
Yes. So when we go to the close and we ask for the sale, we do an assumed close a lot of times. So, what day of the week works best for you? Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday? John, sounds like package C is perfect for you. You guys seem like great people. I think we're a great fit. What would work best? A Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday? You tell me. And then pause, right? So at that time, once we get them closed, then we secure a deposit. It's a 20% deposit that we require. It's state of Maryland is 20%. And we have a line at our office. It's actually a cell phone, believe it or not, but it only rings for credit cards. So our office manager knows to drop everything she's doing and pick that phone up, secure the credit card, and put it in the system. Because what we did is we used to have carbon copies, and you can't take a risk with people's information. You have to be very, very careful about how you deal with credit card information. So we put the client on the phone and they read it to her, and she inputs it right in to Blue Pay. So it's all PCI compliant. You don't put their information at risk. So 20% deposit. Yep. And a signature.
Bobby,
And
what do
review
you
the
got?
terms.
I don't remember what I was going to ask. He said something. Dan asked a question, and then I don't remember what my follow up to Dan's follow up was.
Was your question, hey, Dan, are you running out of beer? And my answer to that is yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I need another beer.
Need a beer. Meatloaf.
No, I wish I could remember, because it was a good question. I just can't remember it. This is worse than forgetting my joke.
I'm gonna be back for when Bobby remembers his.
I missed a lot on the chat over here too.
Yeah.
So that's the objections. That's the finish up. We're all done here, right? So you've got.
So we went through the pre-close where we got them that habit of saying yes. We asked them questions. We got them to agree. Then we moved into step 9 where we're actually asking for the sale.
Okay.
We're showing them the price. We offered the package. And I told you I like to use the assumed close. So I ask them what day of the week works best for them. And then after we get a yes from them, we secure a signature. We move into step 10 where we review the contract, the terms on the back of our sales form, on our NCR form, review payment terms. And then 11, we just wrap it up. I sign it at the very end. This is my promise to you, Jim, that we're going to do a great job. I shake their hand, and then we exit. And that's it.
Awesome.
11 steps to a perfect sale. Now, there's a lot of content in here, guys, if you get a copy of this. But if you can
Josh, tell them where they can get it.
www.yourblueskies.com/JT.
You can get a copy of everything Josh just went through step by step by step. Guys, go get that shit.
Yep.
Yeah, man. And it's got to feel natural. Practice, practice, practice. Role play, role play, role play. until it feels natural, until you guys can go out and do this every single time. And I can guarantee you, you will sell.
Yeah. And I just want to echo on the role playing thing. For those of you that are not, let's forget about the fact, let's say you're a good salesperson and you're learning a new script. That's one thing. But for those of you that maybe are not real comfortable with sales, when I first got in sales, one thing that I did that was so hugely valuable, I made Caleb do it whenever he got into sales, was sell like, if you got a wife or a girlfriend or a mom or whoever that lives with you, do the process with them about 15 times.
Yep.
Literally walk outside, knock on the door, and make them humor you and say, let me sell you something. And I sold my wife a security system about 15 times before I ever went out and did my own sales presentation. And Josh, I'm curious if you agree with me on this, because we have a script too. Now ours is not as in depth as yours, but we have scripts and things that we want to cover. But the point is not that you say these exact words on this paper. The point is you communicate these bullet points in your communication style, because people, they don't want a robot. Josh and myself and Dan and Sean, we have the information that we need to be presented to the customer, but it needs to be presented from a human and from your style. So you need to memorize that when you're doing the practice runs. Run through that script, memorize that damn thing, not because you're going to say every little word in the script, but because in different situations, you might need to say certain words in that script and you want it to be boom right there. You want it to be fluid, not, oh, loading. Oh yes. Here's what the thing is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I agree with you 100%, Bobby. It has to feel natural. If you're robotic, you're not going to sell anything.
Yeah.
Remember, you get my copy of this at the top. It's based on 4 concepts, and it's connect, discover, show, and close. Remember that in that order: connect, discover, show, and close. Broken up into 11 steps, but it's those 4 concepts, and you will make a sale every time.
Yep. Dan Platter, what do you got? Anything?
Put it in the comments.
All right.
Guys, go to yourblueskies.com/JT for 2 reasons. One, you get this shit for free. Everything Josh just went through, you heard him explain it. You can download it. You got it. Also, check out what Sean and Dan have for recruiting services. We're all going to need to be recruiting like madmen when this thing is over. And the fact of the matter is, you probably should be starting now, because we probably have less time ahead of us than we do behind us on this thing. And you're going to need people. People haven't been doing as much maintenance on their homes. The economy is going to open back up. They're going to need us. And then you're going to be standing there like, oh shit, I'm not prepared for it. So check these guys out, because they're having a great deal of success right now with the recruiting. And probably the recruiting market hasn't been better since Trump's been in office. And I'm not making a political statement. It's just, unemployment's been so damn low. It's not low right now. You can kind of get the cream of the crop, where in the past they all had jobs. So check out yourblueskies.com/JT.
What an opportunity right now, guys.
Yeah.
What an opportunity, especially if you've been fortunate enough to secure a PPP loan. What an opportunity to build an amazing team. Okay. That money has to get spent, and it's forgivable. I'm not going to get in all the details, Dan, that's probably your area, but from what I understand, it's 2 months forgivable money. Build an amazing team right now. That's what the government wants you to do. Seize the opportunity.
They just signed a $310 billion PPP addition onto what they just did about a month ago. So now's the time. And I can tell you with the recruiting, you're going to get the cream of the crop right now that wants to work, wants to get out there, real motivated, and they're leaders and they're managers. They're smart people. And if you don't get them, the competition's going to. So we don't have to get really crazy right now, tomorrow, but you better get a hold of me, because I can tell you right now, it's going to take a couple days to get things in place. Then the weekend's gone by. We're now into May. And now I'm telling you, if you're not calling me in the next day or two, you're well behind the 8 ball. You're well behind the 8 ball. You're going to be in trouble.
Sean, I know I reached out to you guys today because we were looking at the math and we've got 5 guys going now, but we need 6 guys next week. And then we need 7 guys week after. We need 10 guys in May and we need 12 in June at a minimum to execute. And we booked more yesterday than we've ever booked. Ever. In the history of our company, in a day, we booked more yesterday than we've ever booked.
In this economy,
Minneapolis, and it was sunny out, and it hit 60. But the wave is coming back, right? Like people are going to demand. People are going to crawl out of their homes. They're going to freaking run out of their homes, and you're going to be stuck with a ton of work to do, which is awesome. But like Josh said, if you don't have the best team that you've ever had this year, you messed up. You missed a huge opportunity because the A players are out there and they're looking for jobs. So get them right now, like right now.
I'll wrap it up by saying one more thing. One of the tools that we use is we do resume searches. So I've got this huge database in a couple different areas of resumes that literally were updated yesterday or a week ago. Okay. Think about that for a minute. If you just updated your resume yesterday, you think you're ready to get a job? I've got access to that type of tool. We've got artificial intelligence that moves people and moves things. And I did probably 500 resume searches yesterday. And all of a sudden we've got a customer that's a lawn service guy. He's got a lead. He's got 2 guys cutting grass for him. It's just crazy. Look at somebody that just updated their resume yesterday, and I contacted 500 of those people, and now they're with my customers. So that's it. Cool. Anything else, anybody? Josh, you got any last words, bud, and we'll wrap this up?
No, you guys need to take advantage of this opportunity. Like I said, unemployment's at an all-time freaking high right now. There's so many great people right now looking for jobs. Take advantage of it, especially if you have that loan. Spend that money and build your team.
Bobby, anything?
Listen to Josh. He's a stud.
Yep. Go to, so just to be crystal clear, yourBlueSkies.com/JT for Josh Taylor /JT Money.
JT Money.
There's two things you can download out there. One is I got to figure out where I'm pointing here. So Sean's above me on what's getting streamed here. He's over here on my screen. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
My boy Ryan. Ryan Day.
Ryan.
There he is. So get on to yourBlueSkies.com/JT. Get Sean's 30-some page recruit, how to write job ads, how to recruit, how to filter, all the things that he does on the recruiting side of Blue Skies. And then Josh Taylor's this way from me. Also out there is his whole sales process. So there's something about the service industry where the magical number is just capacity equals demand. And so you need both this guy and that guy to do that for you. You need both of them. So follow JT's sales process. And when you do, you're going to need more of that guy to hire the guys to go execute on it. So go get it. Don't waste your time. Now
well
is
said.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Everybody have a good night and tap away, like, share, and all that good stuff. Peace.
Bing, bing.
Peace
Pew,
out.
pew, 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 pew.